uploaded a video where I made some breadsticks with some really quick and easy yeast bread dough. And then I got to thinking about all the other things that I could make if I just made a few adjustments to that dough. So, and at the end of that video I said, you know, you could probably even make some cinnamon rolls with this dough. And then I got to thinking about it, and those wheels started turning, and so I decided I'm going to go ahead and give this a try. This is completely experimental. I've never done this before, but we decided to go ahead and video anyway, and thought I'd bring you along for the trip, and I'm going to show you how I, in my head, have kind of figured this out. So we'll see how it comes out. Again, we're going to start with 3 cups of bread flour, and I'm going to go ahead and put my other ingredients in here. I'm going to put my yeast, and this is instant yeast. In fact, let me show you how this comes. Let me grab a full package out of the freezer so you can see what it looks like. I buy this at a local grocer. You can get this just about anywhere. You can also buy the Fleshman's yeast from Costco or Sam's Club. But this is my preferred yeast. Let me get this sticker off here. It's SAF instant yeast. And it comes in a 1-pound brick like this, and it's vacuum sealed. If you keep yeast in your freezer, it will last indefinitely. And this being in a vacuum sealed package, when I open this, I like to put it in a mason jar. And being instant yeast, you don't have to proof it. You can just add it right to your bowl, and it'll work just fine. That's why whenever I make bread, you don't see me proof my yeast like other people do. I'm going to use 3 teaspoons of yeast. I'm just going to add that into the flour. I am going to then add, since we're going to make cinnamon rolls, we want a little bit of a sweeter dough. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. And then for our wet ingredients, you'll recall when I made the breadsticks, I added water and I added oil. So here, we want a richer dough, so I'm going to add, this is 1.5 cups of milk and 1/2 of a stick or 4 tablespoons of butter that I softened in the microwave. And I just added it into the milk there. So I also have an additional 1/2 cup of flour sitting by in case this dough is a little wetter. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and we're going to start to blend this dough up and see where we are. It may be a little wet, and I'm looking now, and I think it is going to be a little wet. So let me get all that flour mixed in there first, and then I'll make my assessment. It's either going to be too wet like I thought at first, or it's going to be just right. So and you want to mix this until it pulls away from the sides and it becomes a cohesive ball of dough. I like to go until the sides of the bowl are clean, and sometimes that means you're going to have to knead it for 4 or 5 minutes. This is a pretty small batch of dough. When I make a larger batch of bread dough, I usually knead for 7 minutes to get the gluten content in the flour built up really nicely. And that's one of the reasons that you like to use bread dough, is because it has a higher gluten content. Now I'm looking here, and that dough is a little dry, so I'm going to go ahead and add this extra 1/2 cup of flour. Just going to toss it right in there and let that dough work. You have to give the flour time to absorb all that liquid and really build up the gluten strings in there so that you have a nice dough. We've put milk and butter in here, and we've put a bit more sugar, so this dough is going to be sweeter and presumably more tender, because really this is kind of a chemistry experiment. We're going to see where this takes us. And we're getting there. I think this is going to be just right. I'm going to continue kneading this. I'm going to set my timer for 4 minutes, and then when this is done, I'm going to come back. Here it goes. Time is up. Okay, and I could tell halfway through the kneading process that this is going to be a gorgeous dough. And you see, it didn't stick to the hook very much at all. It's nice, I can feel already. Okay, so we'll bring it over here, and I'm just going to form it into a nice ball. Oh, it feels nice. This is exactly how you want it. It's not sticky. It's not sticking to your hands. It's releasing. It's soft and supple. And when you make dough, you want it to feel, how do I say, like a baby's backside. That's how you want it to feel. It's nice and smooth, and it just gives to your touch, and it starts to spring back slowly. That means the gluten is working. It's toughened up. But now what we have to do, I'm going to get my cooking spray. I'm going to spray the inside of my bowl. And you can use just plain vegetable oil if you want to. And then I'm going to spray my dough. And this is just so it doesn't dry out. We're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes so that the gluten can relax. And that way, when we get ready to roll it out and make our cinnamon rolls, it will be a nice, happy dough. It won't be tough and crusty. And, well, not crusty, but, you know, it won't be like your mother-in-law. Except my mother-in-law is a saint. And I don't know how she did it. So anyway, we're going to let this sit for 10 minutes, and we'll be back. Okay, it's been just about 10 minutes, and here's our dough, and it's really beautiful. See, this is just how you want it. You see, when you put your finger in it like that, it doesn't bounce back. That means this is ready. And we only waited 10 minutes. This is why this dough is super. And you can make this in the morning. You don't have to make it the day before, and you can make your cinnamon rolls. So, let's get started. I have to make the syrup for our cinnamon rolls, and what I got here is a half a stick of butter melted, the other half a stick from what I put in the cinnamon rolls. So, I'm going to do probably whatever's left in this jar is about a half a cup. This is golden syrup. Now, if any of you have never tried golden syrup, this is an import from Great Britain, Lyle's Golden Syrup. You can find it in most better grocery stores, close to where they have the corn syrup and the molasses in the baking section. This stuff is wonderful. Mm-hmm. It's 100% cane syrup, and there's 100% natural, and it's delicious. It has a toffee, butterscotchy kind of flavor to it.
It's great on ice cream.
And it is really good on ice cream. Just straight like this, it has a really rich flavor. It's boiled cane syrup. So, you know, you can see in the bottom, this jar I've had in the cabinet for a little while. It's not cheap. This jar costs about $5. I understand that they now sell this in a squeeze bottle, which is kind of nice. Anyway, you can use corn syrup as well. So about a half a cup of either corn syrup or golden syrup or maple syrup. You can use maple syrup. I am just mixing this with the melted butter. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm probably going to stick this in the microwave for about 30 seconds. But before I do that, I want to put some vanilla in here. Let's see. Avalanche. About a teaspoon. And I'm just kind of doing things off the cuff this morning, and so I'm kind of doing things quick and with what I have on hand. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to give this one little gentle stir. I'm going to put this in the microwave for about 30 seconds. Like this, do enough so I get all that goodness in the bowl. Regular high power. And the first thing we want to do is prep our pans. So I have, you can choose 2 9-inch round pans if you like, or I have a couple of my, just my regular 9x13 baking pans here. So, I mean, it's totally your call, whatever you have available. You can use a foil pan. Don't use a sheet pan if you're making sticky buns. You can use a sheet pan if you're making plain cinnamon buns. And that's what we basically have to start out by doing, is plain cinnamon buns. And what makes them sticky is what we put in the pan. So we have to prep the pan first. See, that loosened it up just right so that I could stir it. There's the vanilla and the golden syrup. And the butter. So I'm going to pour this in the bottom of my pan. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a half a cup of packed brown sugar. Sprinkle it on in there. Beautiful. I'm just going to take a look at something real quick. And I was wrong. It was a cup. I wrote it down and I thought that doesn't look like enough. So, another half a cup. There we go. We are making sticky buns after all. They're not going to be very effective if they're not sticky. Okay. Now, I'm going to borrow Rick's scissors that ironically come out of my my knife block. And ironically, don't work very well anymore. Hey, did you know you can cut wire with those scissors?
I've heard that.
These are some pecans. This is 1 cup of pecans that I have had from my food storage. You think that looks like enough, or does it need more?
Don't have too many, but I'm going to chop them.
What?
Should have chopped them.
Should have chopped them? Well, look it. We can chop these. That's a good idea. Then I can show you how I quickly chop my nuts. Not Rick's nuts, mine.
Yeah, you can probably cut that out.
Okay, here's a quick tip on how to chop nuts. I mean, I have a nice little chopper that I could get out and use. But if you have one of these really heavy-duty pastry blenders, which I would recommend if you have one of those ones that has wire, like whisk-type tines in it, I would recommend you ditch that and get a nice heavy-duty one. And you can just do anything with this. I use it when I mix streusel for the top of coffee cakes, and it works really well for quickly chopping some nuts. At first it might be a little difficult. You might have to put a little elbow grease into that, but look at that end result. It didn't take but just a minute. Look at that. Beautiful. Now, so we'll have a little contrast here. We'll have some whole pecans, and we'll have some chopped pecans. Alright, now, let me clean this mess up here, because I have made one heck of a mess. Alright. Now, let's set this pan aside. And I don't know how many cinnamon buns I'm going to get. I'm hoping I get at least this pan full. If I have extra, then we're just going to bake off some cinnamon buns. Okay, and see, I didn't bring my flour back over here either. Just spread some flour on your board. Let's deflate our dough just a bit. This dough is gorgeous. It's really nice. Okay. And I got my rolling pin down. This dough is really nice. Sorry, sweetheart.
Yeah, stop watching you and look through the camera.
Just roll out your dough as evenly as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of make it into a rectangle the best that you can. And then you can always use your hands. You don't have to use a rolling pin. I didn't use a rolling pin when I made the breadsticks. I just patted the dough right into the pan. You don't have to make these things. They don't have to be complicated, and you don't have to have special tools. These are the best tools that you have. Your hands. The very best tools. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to soften up some of this butter. I'm going to cut a half a stick here. Let's see. Actually, yeah, I better do that. Wow. All right. I'm going to soften the butter. I am not going to melt the butter. So I'll be right back. I softened it and it melted. Okay. No worries. No worries. I'll get a pastry brush. It'll make things easier. Take your butter. Butter your dough. Again, we're not doing rocket science here, or brain surgery, or rocket surgery or brain science. Whoa. Okay. Now, we need some granulated sugar, which I left out. And I need a little bowl. Here, use this. I'm going to put some sugar. And I'm just eyeballing it, so let's call it half a cup, okay? And we're going to put some flour. We're going to call that 2 tablespoons. And some cinnamon, because, you know, you can't have cinnamon rolls without cinnamon. And that's the paper from the cinnamon container there. Alright. Let's get a spoon. Mix this up. The flour is just going to help bind that all up once it starts to cook, and it'll absorb some of that butter. And if you are an avid shopper over at King Arthur Flour website, they actually make this lovely cinnamon roll filling that you just add water to and spread it on your cinnamon buns, like right at this point, and it's wonderful. It's very, very cinnamony, and it's perfect. They also have a sticky bun sugar that is lovely, and I have used that in the past, and I think I actually have some. But when I make stuff like this for you guys, I like to use the ingredients that I have on hand, because not everybody can afford those things, and not everybody shops online, and some of you are even in foreign countries, so it doesn't do me any good to do a video and teach you how to do something if you can't access common everyday ingredients that you can buy in your local grocer. Okay, so let's see. Now we're going to roll. I'm going to start here. And this is the tricky part. Roll it tightly. Don't let it be loose. Kind of pull it a little as you roll it. And then when you get to the end, pinch. This dough is nice and soft, and it's going to stick to itself, and it's going to be wonderful. You're not going to have a problem at all working with this dough, because it's not, you know, some doughs are very reluctant to roll out, and this dough is not. This is a beautiful dough. So let's just tighten up our roll here. And the next thing I'm going to show you is how to cut these. You can cut them with a knife if you so choose, but I'm going to use some kitchen twine. A pair of scissors. Yes. You can also use some dental floss. And cut yourself a nice length, okay, so that you can get that twine down under here. And what I'm going to tell you to do is cut it in half. Like you're going to tie a bow, and just pull. Okay? Because then you're not going to smush the dough. Okay? So, what I want you to do now is I want you to cut that half in half. And then just keep cutting. Just like that. Cut the half in half. Not like that. Whoopsie. Don't do what I just did. That's bad. And these ends, you know, these ends are always going to be cook's treat, so you can put them in the pan. They're certainly not going to go to waste. But I just want to show you. Look at how beautiful that is. And it didn't get torn or anything. Put that right there. And this one needs to get cut in half again. And make sure you give yourself enough length on both sides. Just like that. I'm going to put them in the pan. And I'm going to say 3 across is going to be perfect. beautiful. This really does make easy work of cutting them. And you don't have to worry about a knife. And this is something that your kids can help you do. You know, this is fun. I love getting my girls in the kitchen with me. Most of the time they don't want to be in the kitchen with me, but sometimes they do. Molly enjoys cooking, and Micah's just starting to want to be in the kitchen. Micah makes brownies a lot. And she does a pretty good job of it. Okay. We're going to end up with just like a little pan of non-sticky buns. Okay, so I'm going to let you see this. So 12 fit in here nicely, and kind of arrange them. Give them a little pat. And then this isn't going to work, is it? Wow. It might. I might have to force it. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I'm just going to set these aside for like 15 minutes while I preheat my oven and get the rest of these cinnamon rolls in a different pan. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what they look like. They're going to just puff up just a little bit. And then we're going to bake them off. So we'll be back in just 15. Okay, these have set for 15 minutes, and you can see that they are already almost double. I mean, they look fantastic, as if you didn't have to wait 90 minutes or an hour and a half, or, well, that is an hour and a half, dipwad. And you tell it's early in the morning. We just can't seem to sleep in on those weekends now that the girls are back in school. So, sleep until 6:30, that's sleeping in. Okay, so now we're going to put these in a 350-degree oven. And you can see I had 4. Now, I will tell you, this recipe made 16 sticky buns. These are going to stay in the oven for 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, I'm going to put some foil on the top of them, and I'm going to bake them an additional 10 minutes. This prevents the tops from becoming too brown. And that's another trick that you can use a lot. I use it when I make my bread. You bake it for 20 minutes, you put the tent on it, you bake it another 20 minutes. So, but that's for the bread, not for these. These you bake 15 minutes, put the foil, and bake another 10. But I was telling you, the sticky bun recipe made 16 rolls. If I had used 2 round pans, they would have all fit, and they would have all been sticky buns. If I had just divided the syrup and the pecans and the sugar between 2 pans, then it all would have been fine. So just keep that in mind. Apparently Sophie has something she wants to say. So you will get 2 round pans of sticky buns if you choose to do it in 2 9-inch rounds like that. I did it this way because I haven't done this particular recipe before. Like I said, I was just playing with it. But keep that in mind, and maybe sometime when I do that, I'll show you. It'll come out 2 round pans of sticky buns just like you would buy at the bakery. So when these are done, I'm going to pull them out of the oven, and we're going to turn them out onto a pan, and they're going to be amazing, and I'll be back. Okay, time is up. Let's take this foil out. There's our plain ones. Here's our sticky ones. Oh, they look yummy. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so now what we have to do is we're going to take a knife. Not that one. We're going to loosen the edges. Just like that. Then Now I have foil and 2 pieces of parchment here. And now we say a prayer. You ready? Look at that. Oops. Just go ahead and put some of this gooiness back on here. And it's going to melt right in. I wouldn't worry about it. Oh, that's hot sugar. Let me grab a spoon. That looks amazing. Doesn't that look amazing? The sugar's already starting to set up here. Okay. Set those off to the side. Then we'll come over here. These, I'm going to put those just like that. And I made a little bit of a glaze. And I think I need another spoon. See how that works? And all this is about a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, a tablespoon of very soft butter, a teaspoon of vanilla, and a couple tablespoons of heavy cream. Well, you want it to melt in there, so. And I only made a little bit because we only had 4, so. So I'm here to tell you that we had cinnamon rolls hot from the oven for our family on Sunday morning in about an hour and a half. And I don't think that's too bad. Look at that. Let's, just for fun, let's cut one of these off of here and see what it looks like. Yuck. Oh, my. All right. Where did my knife go? There it is.
I think they would like one of each.
They would like one of each, would they? All right. If they must. Let's see how these. Oh my. There's a sticky bun. And I just want you to see the crumb on this dough. You see? It's beautiful. Oh, wow. I know I'm going to burn my tongue. Oh, but it's so worth it. Okay. You can see it pulling apart. It's just gorgeous. Okay. There's a cinnamon roll and a sticky bun. And that was really, really easy with a basic dough. We went from breadsticks to sticky buns to cinnamon buns. I hope you try this and I hope you enjoy it. Until next time, I'll see ya!